All right, so the first thing is the new sleeve, as I've seen in other videos, is too small. And so I wanted to show you what I did instead of buying a new one from one of those companies. So the old one is 10.15, 10.2, pretty close on both sides. Honestly, I can't tell if the outer diameter matters, if this groove matters. I've seen some people who put them on with the groove down. I've seen some people who put them on with the groove out. And a lot of the videos that I show dealing with the size of this hole, that bore shows with the groove out. Either way, what I ended up doing was taking some 600 grit emery cloth, rip a chunk of it off. I'd roll it into a tube, slide it inside of the new sleeve, and then I used a drill bit that was just big enough to fit inside of that sandpaper, and I just ran it until it was approximately the same size as this one is. Actually, I think it's a little bit tighter tolerance, and it now slides on the shaft perfectly. I'll show that when I get it out of the freezer here in a little bit. All right, so here's my shaft out of the freezer. As you can see, the grooves, I'm putting them on the outside, but it slides on real nice. It's not too loose at all, and I can measure it. Of course, this is the cold measurement, but it is just under 10, right at 10 on both sides. I wasn't too concerned about it being out of round because, again, I can't really tell that this thing has to slide on this, or that it moves, or that there's any tolerance on the outside of it. Something else I thought was interesting was, and I might be doing this wrong, but from every video I could tell, when you press this bearing on, and I didn't press, I used the cool the shaft, heat the bearing method, but it looks like that's the orientation that it goes on. And then if you look over here, you can kind of see it, but I already got the seal on. The orientation of this one is exactly opposite from this direction. So basically both bearings sit in there in the same orientation when the shaft goes on. So what I did was I just set everything out over here. Some differences that I'm noticing from the old components is the nut that holds the turbine wheel on. Looks like it's got the washer built into it. So the old one had this nut and this washer, and the new one has this nut, which to me looks like the same piece. It's just connected now. The other thing, from what I can tell, is you have a friction washer, your bearing, your gear, another friction washer, and you can kind of tell what the friction washer is. It's pretty obvious. The locking nut obviously has the teeth on it and the flats, and then these spring washers. There's a couple videos out there that really go into a good description of how these go, and so I'll follow those and show it at the end. All right, so this assembly, you have the friction washer, the needle bearing with the gear, another friction washer, and then the lock washer, which at first I thought it was not the right size because it was very difficult to get on, but after I worked with it, I got it on. The slots for your wrench go towards the gear. Now these spring washers, it says that the cup side goes towards the lock washer, and then the remaining ones go butt to butt. So there's a gap between the first washer and those two, and then the second set does the same thing, butt to butt, so that you have another gap.